Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It is a beautiful Wednesday, and we are back with another deep dive into the absolute madness happening in Los Angeles. Grab your coffee, or maybe something stronger, because today's update is a lot to process. We are breaking down all the latest drama, so let's just jump right into it. So here we are again, watching the Forrester and Spencer families tear each other apart over fashion, pride, and basically just a lot of unresolved historical trauma, and honestly, I am just so tired. I have been following this storyline for what feels like an eternity, and every time you think they have hit rock bottom, someone grabs a shovel and starts digging. We all knew this feud between Forrester Creations and the newly formed Logan Creations was going to get ugly. We knew it, but I don't think any of us expected it to get this physical, this fast. Let's just set the scene for a minute, because the events of the Wednesday, July 22nd episode are going to have massive shockwaves for months to come. We are talking about Eric Forrester getting physically injured. Yes, you heard that right. The patriarch of the Forrester family, the man who basically built the Los Angeles fashion scene, took a fist to the face. And the person who delivered that punch, Will Spencer. But before you completely cancel Will, we really need to talk about how this actually went down, because RJ Forrester is not the innocent victim he is pretending to be. Let's be real for a second. RJ has a fragile ego, a very, very fragile ego. He has been taking hits from Will for a while now. A few episodes ago, Will punched him right in the gut at the bikini bar, and RJ didn't even see it coming. It bruised his ribs, it bruised his pride, and it basically established that Will is the alpha in this physical rivalry. RJ is not a fighter. He has never been a fighter. He is a designer, an influencer, whatever you want to call him. But he is not someone who throws hands, so when RJ walked into the bikini bar this time, he had an agenda. He wanted revenge. He wanted to make Will pay. And Will was already a complete and utter mess. He has been spiraling into this dark, drunken depression ever since Electra moved out of the beach house. He is drowning in guilt over keeping Katie and Bill's corporate secrets. He is stressed about the Logan versus Forrester war. There are even those crazy rumors floating around on social media that his serial killer ex-girlfriend Luna Nozawa faked her death and is secretly having his baby somewhere. I mean, the guy is under a lot of pressure. So he is sitting there, intoxicated, vulnerable, and just completely out of control of his own temper. So RJ walks in, and RJ starts it. He actually starts the physical altercation this time. He marches right up to Will, looking incredibly smug, and he grabs Will by the collar. He grabs him. RJ is acting like the aggressor because he wants to look tough. He wants to prove that he is a real Forrester man who can defend his family's legacy against the evil Spencers. But RJ knows he can't win a fair fight against Will. He knows it. And this is where it gets really, really sneaky. Eric Forrester suddenly appears out of nowhere. Eric is trying to play peacemaker. He steps right into the middle of these two angry, testosterone-filled 20-somethings to break it up. Will, who is completely blinded by rage and alcohol, pulls his arm back to deliver a devastating punch to RJ's face. But RJ sees Eric. From where I was sitting on my sofa watching this unfold, it was so incredibly obvious. RJ saw his grandfather stepping into the line of fire, and what does RJ do? He ducks. He completely ducks out of the way, knowing full well that Will's fist is already in motion and is going to connect with whatever is behind him, or rather, whoever is behind him. And bam! Will's fist slams right into Eric Forrester's face. It was a brutal hit. Eric goes down hard. The patriarch of the family, an older man, takes a full-force punch from a young, athletic guy. It was horrifying to watch. It really was. But let's talk about RJ's reaction. Instead of admitting that he started the fight, instead of admitting that he ducked and let his grandfather take the hit, RJ instantly flips the script. He weaponizes the situation. He points the finger straight at Will, acting like Will just committed the ultimate crime against humanity. RJ uses this terrible accident to completely destroy Will's reputation and his life. It is just so gross. It is a really disgusting, manipulative move. RJ has this vulnerable ego, and he couldn't handle losing to Will again, so he used his own grandfather as a human shield and then played the hero. I mean, maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe RJ just acted on instinct and ducked because he didn't want to get hit. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. But honestly, no, I don't buy it. RJ knew exactly what he was doing. He knew Will would look like a monster. And right on cue, Electra Forrester walks in. Of course she does. The timing on this show is always impeccable. Electra walks in and sees her beloved grandfather on the floor, injured with a black eye forming, and Will standing there looking like a violent thug. Electra is absolutely horrified. She is terrified for Eric. She immediately drops to her knees to tend to him, completely ignoring Will, and you can't really blame her. From her perspective, Will has just crossed the ultimate line. Eric is the head of the family. He is the man she respects more than anyone else in the world. And her ex-boyfriend just assaulted him in a public bar. Will is panicking. He is stammering. He is trying to explain. It was an accident. I was aiming for RJ. He ducked. But his excuses are just falling on completely deaf ears. Electra doesn't care. And why should she? Will has a history of violence now. He has a history of lying to her. He hid the secrets about Hope defecting to Logan. He hid the secrets about the hope for the future diamond. He has been acting completely unhinged. So to Electra, this isn't an accident. This is just the final proof that Will Spencer is exactly who Ridge and Eric said he was. A dangerous, violent Spencer. It is the final nail in the coffin for their relationship. Electra is done. She had already thrown her necklace at him and moved out of the beach house, but this cements it. She is standing firmly by RJ's side now. RJ gets to play the protective cousin, the loyal Forrester, while Will is banished to the absolute bottom of the barrel. And the fallout from this is going to be apocalyptic. Let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. Will just assaulted Eric Forrester in public. The media is going to have an absolute field day with this. I can already see the blog headlines. Spencer air attacks Forrester patriarch, violent brawl at bikini bar. Logan Creations executive arrested for assault. Because yes, Will is going to face severe consequences for this. He might actually get arrested. RJ is definitely going to make sure Will pays. RJ will probably press charges or convince Eric to press charges just to twist the knife even deeper. And how is this going to affect Logan Creations? Katie Logan and Bill Spencer just launched this massive new fashion house. They just stole Hope away from Forrester. They just had this incredibly successful fashion show. They are riding high. And now, their son, their key executive, is involved in a violent public scandal. It is a PR nightmare of epic proportions. When Katie gets the news, she is going to be absolutely horrified. Katie is a mother first. She loves Will, but she is also a businesswoman. She is going to realize instantly that this feud has gone way too far. She pushed Will to keep those corporate secrets. She told him it was just business. And that pressure is what caused Will to snap. Katie is going to feel an immense amount of guilt for pushing her son to the breaking point. Katie is going to look at this situation and realize that the war between Logan and Forrester is destroying her family. Technically, we all know RJ is the one at fault here for starting the fight and ducking. But the world doesn't know that. The world just sees a Spencer hitting a Forrester. But what about Bill? Oh, Bill Spencer. Dollar Bill. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Bill actually laughs when he hears the news. Bill is practically a sociopath when it comes to the Forresters. He has been gloating about Eric's disastrous press interview. He has been loving the fact that Logan is stealing Forrester's thunder. So when he hears that his son punched Eric in the face, Bill might actually be proud? Bill will probably defend Will to the death. He will say Eric had no business stepping into a fight between two young men. He will blame RJ. He will blame Ridge. He will blame everyone except his own son, and that is just going to create even more friction between Bill and Katie. Katie is going to want to do damage control, to apologize, to make peace. Bill is going to want to use this as an excuse to go to total war. It is just such a classic B and B dynamic. The men want to fight and the women want to fix it, but I don't think this can be fixed. Katie is going to head over to the Forrester mansion later this week. She is going to go on a mission to do extreme damage control. She wants to check on Eric. She wants to apologize for Will. She wants to try and escalate this nightmare before the police get involved or the press destroys her company. But who is waiting for her at the Forrester mansion? Brooke Logan Forrester. Brooke is already vibrating with rage. Brooke just found out that Katie secretly hired Hope. Brooke just watched Hope publicly admit that her own mother didn't know about the Logan launch. Brooke has been completely humiliated, betrayed, and shattered by her sister and her daughter. Brooke has already declared Katie her #1 enemy. So when Katie walks through those doors at the Forrester mansion, Brooke is going to absolutely unleash on her. Brooke is going to blame Katie for everything. She will blame Katie for stealing Hope. She will blame Katie for the corporate war. And now she will blame Katie for raising a violent son who assaulted Eric. It is going to be a bloodbath. The Logan sisters are completely fractured. Donna has already been fired by Eric and kicked out of the executive office because she kept Katie's secret. So Donna's marriage is falling apart. Brooke's relationship with Hope is destroyed. And now Katie's son is facing criminal charges and public ruin. What were the writers thinking? Who actually believes this is going to end well for anyone? It feels like we are watching the total destruction of two legacy families just for the sake of a few fashion headlines. But at the center of all of this is Will. Poor, messy, drunken Will. He has lost everything. He lost Electra. He lost his reputation. He might lose his freedom if RJ pushes for an arrest. He is completely isolated. And you know who is waiting in the wings to take advantage of that isolation. Melissa Dillon. Dillon has been hovering around, secretly harboring feelings for Will. She has been watching his relationship with Electra crumble. And now that Will is at his absolute lowest, completely vulnerable and desperate for any kind of validation, Dillon is going to swoop in. Dillon is going to offer him a shoulder to cry on, and probably a lot more. It is a calculated, opportunistic move, and it is going to make things so much worse. Because Dillon is currently working as RJ's assistant, and she just had a passionate night with RJ at the beach house. So if Dillon hooks up with Will now, she is playing both sides of this violent rivalry. It is a disaster waiting to happen. I can't even process how messy this is going to get. Will is going to wake up with a massive hangover, a potential assault charge, a destroyed relationship, and possibly Melissa Dillon in his bed. And all because RJ Forrester couldn't take a punch like a man. I know, I am being so hard on RJ, but I just can't stand the hypocrisy. Ridge Forrester literally punched Bill Spencer in the face a few weeks ago. Ridge assaulted Bill in his own office. But when Will accidentally hits Eric during a fight that RJ started, suddenly Will is a dangerous monster who needs to be banished from society. The double standards in the Forrester family are just exhausting. They really are. They preach about loyalty and morality, but they are the first ones to throw a punch, steal a design, or ruin a career when it suits them. Ridge is going to use this incident to completely destroy Will and Logan Creations. He is going to demand that Katie fire her own son. He is going to push for maximum legal penalties. He is going to make this a public spectacle. And Steffy is going to use this as ammunition against Hope. Steffy is going to say, look at the kind of people you are in business with, Hope. Look at the violent, unstable Spencer family you aligned yourself with. Steffy is going to weaponize Eric's injury to make Hope feel even more guilty about defecting to Logan. It is all just a giant game of chess, and Eric's black eye is the latest pawn. I really feel for Katie in all of this. She wanted to build a legacy. She wanted to step out of Brooke's shadow and create something successful for herself and for Hope. But she played a dangerous game by encouraging all these secrets. She created a toxic environment, and Will was the collateral damage. Katie is going to have to look in the mirror and ask herself if the success of Logan Creations was worth the destruction of her son's life and her family's relationships. And what about Eric? How is he going to react when he recovers? Eric is usually the voice of reason, the forgiving patriarch. But he has been acting very differently lately. He was furious with Donna. He was furious with Hope. He was furious with Logan Creations. Taking a physical blow might just push Eric over the edge. He might finally embrace the ruthless corporate warfare that Ridge has been pushing for. If Eric decides to press charges against Will, it is game over. The Spencers and the Forresters will be in court, the media will be camped outside their houses, and the fashion industry will be completely paralyzed by the scandal. This is definitely not the end of this storyline. In fact, I think Wednesday's episode is just the match that lights the powder keg. The explosion is going to take out everyone. So, what do you guys think? Was RJ a total coward for ducking and letting Eric take the hit? Is Will entirely to blame because he threw the punch in the first place? And how far is Brooke going to go when she finally gets Katie alone in a room? Let me know your thoughts, because I am honestly losing my mind trying to keep up with all this drama. I am going to go take a nap or maybe stare at a wall for an hour because this show is taking years off my life. But I will be right back here tomorrow to break down whatever fresh hell these characters unleash on each other next. Stay tuned because it is only going to get crazier from here.